I think for me, the biggest piece is anybody who has gone through, especially just growing up or being bullied or looked at differently because of it, don't let that stop you from your assignment.
Hmm.
Like you just said, that's a huge cosmic responsibility. And um, if you have it, at least for me, like there was not, I didn't have an ability to turn it off. I would ignore it as much as I could, but it didn't go away. And I think that's because it's not supposed to. So instead of fighting it, maybe embrace it
Correct.
and find individuals such as here
Yep.
that can help you understand it.
Hmm.
I think once you understand it more, it's not so scary. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me,
It's not scary. It's fucking
is just to
awesome.
get help understanding
It's
it.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
For questions, comments, and to show your support, visit us on the web at afroempath.com. Test 1, 2.
Hi.
Peace. A hectic day, huh?
Yes. See, I work at a domestic violence agency, so you never know what you're gonna get.
Oh, I can imagine. Oh my
Every
goodness.
day is something new.
I don't know. I mean, I don't study the moon phases and everything like that, but maybe you do. But I don't know. The energy's been really just crazy recently, huh?
Yes, yes. Like more than usual during retrogrades. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what's going on. Like, I don't study the moon phases. I don't keep track of it. But I have a friend that does. So she was telling me, there's something going on. There's some pink or something. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
we had like the pink lunar eclipse in a couple of days ago, and then we
okay,
had like 5 planets in retrograde. So yeah, the sky is going insane.
gotcha. And the people are going insane because of it, yeah?
Yeah,
Or vice
yeah,
versa, whatever.
or something.
Yeah. So, did you listen to any of our podcast episodes by any chance?
I have been so stacked, and I just like literally found the group like 2 days ago.
Yep.
So I'm still just trying to go through all the reading, all the verbiage part of it. I did go to the YouTube page, but I haven't actually sat down to absorb all the different podcasts that are on there yet.
It's all good. So, what did you get as like a general sense though? Like, just give me just like you're an empath, right? So I'm assuming when you can even go into a site or a group and kind of feel energy,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what'd you feel? Be
So
honest.
for this group,
Mm.
it just feels like a lot of like-minded energy. I've been in groups that I can kind of read the description and know that's not that doesn't feel right for me. It might be fine for other people, but it just doesn't feel right for me because I'm looking for positivity and high vibrational type of energies,
Hmm.
and you have some that are just not that. And
Hmm.
some are very upfront with that, and they'll tell you this is what they do. But this group felt comfortable.
You mean
It didn't
these left hand
feel.
path type mofo's or whatever? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call the fuck out. I'm tired of that shit, man. Listen, as being a damn Facebook, having a damn Facebook group and running that shit, how many people I gotta weed out just by my own empathic intuition?
Yes.
It's not easy
Yes.
trying
There's
to keep this
some strange
vibration
people
high.
out here.
You ain't lying, man.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and some of them are slick, and they could listen. Eventually, I weed out everybody. You know what I'm trying to say? Every little, everybody whose will is not in alignment to the greater good. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
some people have some demons, and they want to keep this world vibrating at a lower frequency. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
So
Yep.
basically, eventually, I find them fools if they ever do get past me in the first place, But man,
Yeah.
I block so many freaking people. You know what I'm trying to say? So I make it
Well,
like
you have to.
yeah, absolutely. But I know exactly what you're saying though. I know exactly what you're saying. I try to make sure that, like, put it this way. You mean I can't make sure that everybody's will is in alignment, but I think like I feel that even if you don't know necessarily like the greater overall scheme of life and what your purpose is here, and and God and all that stuff, it's like if as long as you have a will to do good and your heart's pure, then I think then you're not draining the battery of the group. If that makes any sense. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you have to be very, because then you sometimes you run into people who are not even aware they're doing it. Some people are in your family. Like you can definitely tell. Well, I know for me, like I will avoid them. I don't do calls because they just operate in that dysfunction,
Hmm.
and they don't see that. I don't think they do it on purpose. A lot of times, I know a lot of the people I work with because I work in the trauma field. I work with a lot of people who are vibrating at low spaces, but it's because of the experiences that they've gone through.
Hmm.
So what I try to do is kind of increase their vibration just through the therapy that we do. But then you got some who are just, it's hard to tell. Like I can pick it up and I can tell when somebody's vibrating really low, but I can also tell if that's where they want to stay. Because
Hmm.
you can pick it up, and then you'll notice that some people don't, like you said, some people choose to stay in that space. And
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to the point of calling people out yet. Like I know my one of my spiritual gifts is discernment, and
Hmm.
as I was researching that, one part of the responsibility is calling stuff out when you see it,
Hmm.
calling the evil stuff out when you see it.
Yeah.
I have not necessarily gotten to a comfort level with that because I'm like, well, if you call it out, what if it comes
Well,
after you?
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Well,
That's where I have a problem.
number one, you're at a job, right? So you cannot just call out evil to people that you're supposed to that are your clients.
Yeah, right. I
You know what I'm
can't
trying
do
to say?
that. Exactly.
See, I don't work for anybody but myself. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
Uh huh.
I do three things right now. Obviously the podcast, I run the Facebook group, and I do life coaching. If it's life coaching,
Hmm.
people pay me to call out their evil. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
I'm upfront with them. Now on the Facebook type thing, I can't. I'm not gonna. If you're evil, I'm not gonna like call it out per se. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm just gonna block you. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm just gonna. You know
Okay.
what I'm trying to say? But like, in my personal life, I've learned to just keep my, you know, make sure there's nothing that I'm giving them in terms of my energy and my aura. You know what I'm trying to say? And block them out that way. You know
Gotcha.
what I'm trying to say? Because obviously I'm talking about the digital world, the internet world, but obviously in real life, that's how you have to go about it. You know what I'm trying to say? You have to just make sure that you're being a beacon of light, and they have no choice but to surrender to the will of that light.
Okay.
Doesn't make any
Uh huh.
sense. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
Have you ever had like somebody like come like after that though? Because you are somebody who is working to increase the vibration and everything else of
of
the
course
collective. Have you ever had somebody like target you
all the
to try to
time.
stop you?
All
Okay.
the time. They'll do anything, man. It could be people close to you, anybody, especially people that are closest to you are the ones that have the greatest access to your heart. You know what I'm trying to say? So those are the
Yeah.
ones that you let into your energetic space, and so those are the ones that generally will be used by what I feel is demonic entities to basically try and bring you down. Now they may not realize why they're doing it. You know what I'm trying to say, but not everybody has an understanding of how this universe works. You know what I'm trying to say, and what
Yeah.
they're up against. You know what I'm trying to say, and so it's those people that don't really understand their inner universe. The inner world. That are the ones that are most susceptible to being taken over. You know what I'm trying to say? It's kind of like the movie The Matrix, where those agents kind of come in and out of whatever bodies they want to choose to come
Yeah.
in. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They obviously they don't go in and out of the people that are awake. They're not going to come in. They're not going to come in Neo's body. They may try. You know what I'm trying to say? They're not going to come in Morpheus, but they may try to come in
Yeah.
Morpheus' body. But obviously Morpheus is, woke, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? He's not
Yeah.
he knows he's an illumined being, and he has enough energy to combat that. But the average Matrix dead soul does it's not gonna it's
Hmm.
not gonna be aware that something like a demon even really exists to be able to combat it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, so they're just feeling all of a sudden powerful, and they have a will to bring you down. They might not know where that comes from. You know what I'm trying to say? Now,
Gotcha.
if I bring it out to
Yeah.
them, if I bring it up to them, then they're gonna flip because that demon is in control of them. You know what I'm trying to say? So that demon's gonna make
Yeah.
them go nuts. I have a podcast on that. It's I think it's called Empaths, Codependency and Demonic Attachment, where I kind of break that down
Okay.
with another sister. So I would definitely check it out. But I mean, it's a science. It's something that I've become kind of a master at, to be honest, and I can sense it, not just in in my physical space, but I can sense it even speaking to somebody
Yeah.
over on the phone, or in a conversation like this. I can see, I can sense when their will is really being dominated by a will of an entity, or a demon that they're holding on to, that they've been feeding for a long time in their life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
That's awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out um that podcast
Yeah.
specifically because I
Another
was just
another
talking to
great another
somebody.
great tool is another great show to watch is there's a show called The Exorcist. It was only on 2 seasons. It got canceled, but boy, those 2 seasons are amazing. They
Yeah, I watched. Was that the one on Fox?
heck yeah, man.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, I was upset to see that they
I know,
canceled it.
like, yeah, I was like, damn, I can't believe they let that out. You're gonna say that, that was so, like,
They
there's so,
let like all these other stories stay on, like Lucifer. Like,
yeah,
isn't that interesting? But
I
then they canceled.
yeah, I didn't watch Lucifer, but I mean, the boy was that
Me
show was
neither.
that show was so, like, I mean, I've experienced it. I'm trying to say, so I know the subtleties of it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I think part of what I'm trying to do on our Facebook group and just in my podcast is to make empaths aware of this kind of struggle. You know what I'm trying to say? Because empaths don't really realize what they are. You know what I'm trying to say? If you're a real empath, not just someone that's
Hmm.
empathic, but or an empath is, you're like an earth angel. You know what I'm trying to say? And
Hmm.
the light of your love is going to be targeted by those who want to drain your energy. Why do you think they're doing that for? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. Yes.
Like, what
Absolutely.
if they're draining your energy, and you're the source of love within you, which is the source of God within you? Have you ever considered that they've decided to break away from that? You know what I'm trying to say? Therefore, they don't
Yeah.
have it within themselves. So you are their food source. So yeah, there's
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So people don't. And when you don't understand that spiritual war, and I didn't always get it. I'm trying to say it took me a while. It took me some humility. I'm trying to say, because I was the adamant intellectual. I'm trying to say,
Uh huh.
and that's okay. That's a good building block to start with. But as I began to be aware of, like, subtle energy and things like that, as I began to become spiritually awakened, I began to realize, oh my God, there is a spiritual tug of war going on here. You know what I'm trying to say, and
Yes.
I'm giving people love that are taking that, and they are trying to trap me in a narcissistic cycle of abuse.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And like you said, sometimes they don't even know that exactly is, what they're doing.
exactly why they're doing it, exactly because they've been taken over. So let me ask you this, because on your profile it says you are a paranormal geek.
Oh yeah.
So
So
that's a pretty broad
yeah,
statement and
that's
a
the
pretty
story
interesting
behind that.
statement. So I'd like to know, just like briefly, if you could, like, a little history about yourself. Like, maybe a little bit of your, like,
Yeah,
childhood, a little
absolutely.
bit, or maybe just a little bit of your story of coming to understand yourself as an empath, and maybe talk about one of your first paranormal type experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where it really started when I was 6.
Hmm.
Um, Now I grew up in the deep South in Savannah, Georgia.
Hmm.
Uh, very strong African American religious beliefs coming up.
Yep.
So keep that in mind as I
Yeah.
go into the
The
story.
Bible Belt. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So at 6 years old, I saw my grandfather, who had already passed away, and I was trying to explain to my mom and my grandmom that he was standing like right in front of us, and they couldn't see him. And then they saw I was getting upset about it because I was trying to tell them what he was doing, and they couldn't see him.
Hmm.
So my grandma called me aside and she was like, there's some people who will have these abilities. She said, however, even though it's okay to discuss this stuff with me and your mom, be very mindful of what you say around other people. Well, at 6 years old, that and when they're not the other.
Hmm.
So as I continued to see people and see things, and I would ask my uncles and my aunts about it, it turned into I was basically bullied and made to feel like I was Satan. Like you're not supposed to see stuff like that, and
You told your
you're
peers?
not supposed to know stuff. Like no, this was family.
Oh, you
This was
found. Oh,
family
that's
members
terrible.
telling me this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they would read me Bible verses from the Bible, telling me how this is wrong and this is not of God. This is of Satan. So all through growing up, that's how it was told. What I was able to do, the seeing people, the hearing people, the knowing stuff was not of God. So as I went into school, I just tried to act like it wasn't something I could do. Um, and I stayed that way up until I went into the Air Force. Because I lived in the South and my whole childhood was that's the devil. But I knew I wasn't doing anything. Like I could just do this stuff.
Hmm.
And I didn't understand why they would call me these things or say these things about me when I wasn't doing anything to cause this stuff to happen. It wasn't until I got into the Air Force and would meet people from different parts of the country where I felt comfortable enough to say, sometimes I can hear people who aren't here, right? Like, and even as I say it, it's still kind of like you're taking a chance because people either going to accept it and say, okay, yeah, or look at you like you need
No,
some
oh, not
meds.
oh, here on this show. Oh, come, I mean, I was speaking to a sister yesterday that was talking about how she was astro traveling and being taught at a university in the astral realm.
Holy
You know what I'm trying to
cow,
say? Yeah.
that is so
Yeah, I
interesting.
know. Believe me, I got some good
So yeah,
podcasts coming up. So trust me. And she, come on, you're in the right place here. Me personally, I have performed an exorcism on myself. So yeah,
holy cow.
yeah. So you're in the right place here.
So, yeah, so as I started talking about it to specific people who I didn't feel judged,
Hmm.
I got a little bit more comfortable with it. But it was still something I would keep to myself. I was in the spiritual closet, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
It wasn't until my mom passed. My mom passed with cancer when I was 26. Um, and this is going to sound so funny. And I'm still getting used to what I'm able to do and talking about it freely.
Hmm.
But because I still live in the South, I still have to be mindful of my surroundings.
Understood.
So, my mom, my mom obviously who knew what my abilities were, because her and my grandma were very accepting of what I could do. And they always made me feel like it was okay. It was everybody else that made me feel different.
Hmm.
But when she came to me when I was sleeping and she brought me over to where she was at. And when I saw her, she was healthy again. Like she had all her hair.
Is this
She
like
looked like she was about
is
30
this astral
something.
traveling or what do you mean by that?
I don't
A
know
dream
what
or
it
is astral
was because
traveling or
yeah,
what?
it was in a dream.
Okay.
But now as I've researched astro traveling, it might have been that, which because wherever she brought me, the colors were so vibrant. Like it, the best HD picture you've ever seen. It was like 100 times that.
Hmm.
And she was just showing me different people and places, and she was telling me how she feels great now. And then the crazy thing was, she said she was going to a different location. She wanted me to see where she was at, but she was about to go to a different location. And it was like, to me, the only thing I can think of, it looked like trains, but there were like streams of light, and she got in one of them and she was off. And then I came out of the dream state. Yeah, it was like that.
Hmm.
And she was like, you can kind of go wherever you want to in these like light things.
Hmm.
And when I woke up, I had the worst migraine because I get migraines.
Hmm.
Um, but when I woke up, I wasn't laying down. I was sitting up, if that makes any sense. And I have never like had an experience like that ever. And she's come to me in dreams since then, but never to where she took me where she was at, and it was just like fields of green. It was amazing.
Mm,
Like if I pictured heaven, I would picture where this place was she took me.
mm.
And she was like, I'm gonna meet your granddad. I gotta get on this traveling thing, and she got on and she was gone. She was like, phew. And then I had to wake myself up. Um, that had to be one of the most interesting experiences ever. But the hearing people who've already passed on, knowing stuff, all that stuff intensified after that experience.
Hmm.
Like really intensified. Um, but I still wasn't really comfortable with talking about it just because of all the bullying I experienced as a child. Um, but now I think I've gotten more comfortable with talking to people about
Hmm.
it. Like, look, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, then I'm going to be who I am. So,
I hear you. Shit, I
so that's kind of where I'm
love
at.
who you are, man. Shit, you know, like
I'm trying.
I live for this stuff. You have literally no idea. I live for this stuff. Yeah.
I'm trying, and I've done a lot of medium readings with people who have passed, for
Hmm.
people who have passed. I do a lot of intuitive readings. I've learned to do intuitive tarot readings because at
Hmm.
first, like when I was a kid, I was told how tarot cards were of the devil
Hmm.
and it's witchcraft. But I've learned I use a lot more oracle cards
Hmm.
um than tarot cards because I read them intuitively, and for the symbols and the colors and the numbers mean different things. You can pull the same card for different people and it would mean a different thing. But I'm finally at the age of 42, finally allowing myself to say it's okay
Yeah, you're embracing your
to be
gifts.
like this.
Yeah, and
Like,
I gotta say something
yeah,
here to for people like
finally.
yourself. I gotta say something because this is what gets people confused. This is a message to Christians, right?
Mhm.
There is like empathic intelligence or psychic intelligence, what do you want to call it? Um,
Mhm.
and that empathic intelligence comes really from your heart and from your soul, right?
Mhm.
And then there's also what I would consider like demonic intelligence, right?
Mhm.
That's not talked about much. And so there are meaning that if you would allow a demon into your life, you can get intelligence from that demon. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
I'm not saying for you. I'm just saying for people listening. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the point is that there are people that go in, slaughter goats to some little god or whatever they do whatever, or chickens whatever, and make these
Mhm.
animal sacrifices, and and become soul sucking energy vampire type individuals, narcissistic, and they will get insight and spiritual power. You know what I'm trying to say? And
Okay.
that's we live in a world of duality, right? So the point I'm trying to say is that, like,
Yeah.
for a Christian, they need to understand this, that like in the Bible, Pharaoh had magicians, right?
Yes, it did.
And then Moses was a magician too. So God has magicians too. Does that make sense? And
Mhm.
obviously,
Mhm.
so I'm saying I'm just saying to the basic Christian, they need to understand that there are people that are into the occult that work for good. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That needs to be said. You know what I'm trying to say? It needs to be
I
said.
agree. I agree.
And in every spiritual tradition and every religion, from Islam to Christianity to to almost anything, there is deeper levels of understanding. You know what I'm trying to say? Where
Mhm.
where there's an initiate level or a believer level, then there's the level of faith, and then there's level of fruition. You know what I'm trying to say? When you actually begin to become what you know. You know what I'm trying to say? Or what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'd had to say that because I don't, because a lot of people are turned off to this type stuff because I'm not going to act as if there's not people out here that are evil. You know what I'm trying to say? Because there are. You know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say? So I'm just saying, like, you have to use discernment and use your own empathic intuition. You know what I'm trying to say? Now, someone like yourself can feel that. Someone like myself can feel that and can sense that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
Somebody who's a novice is scared, and they may reject all of it. And guess what? They're probably supposed to. You know what I'm trying to say? Because their hearts are not
Gotcha.
really their hearts are not really in the place yet where they can trust it, their own hearts. Does that make sense? So it's probably
Absolutely.
better for them to
Absolutely.
just stay in their little safe bubble than to try and expand and learn a bunch of other stuff, because they might open themselves up to something. That's all. So
Very true.
so
That's so true.
that's exactly it. So I'm mindful of that, and I'm sensitive of that, but at the same time, I don't get upset when people don't understand me, because I've embraced myself fully. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm intuitive.
Hmm.
If I'm intuitive enough to understand if somebody's demonically possessed or has a demon, I'm also intuitive enough to understand where someone's mind's at in terms of their understanding of this world we live in, and what stage in their development, spiritual development, they're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's one ability. Well, I guess I wouldn't call it ability.
Hmm.
I've I do hypnotherapy
Hmm.
as well, and there was a session I was doing where I actually saw an attachment that was on the individual. It was it kind of didn't have a form. It was kind of a blackish like globule. I don't even know what I would call it, but it really wasn't formed. It wasn't formed like a like you would think as a person or something, and it was at the bottom of the person's foot. And we actually were able to remove it, and that was something completely new to me, and it was something that wasn't taught. The hypnotherapy techniques that was taught, but when we were doing the therapy session, and I saw that, um, I was able to remove it. We were able to remove it without actually like going to a lesson on how to remove an entity. Like,
Yeah.
so that was very interesting to me. Um,
So who's we? Like,
Again, though, because it was
go
so
ahead.
new.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I want to say who's we?
Uh,
Did you do? You have a partner in this? Or
well, the person I was doing the session on,
hmm.
he had to help with removing it.
Oh, I see.
So, because he had to, when he was able to see it in his mind's eye, when he was going through the therapy session, he had to escort it off of him into the light area.
Hmm.
And then when he came out of it, he felt lighter. But while we were doing it, he was even having like tremors and shakes and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, being that this was the first time I've ever did anything like that, it was kind of unnerving, but it was kind of a situation where like, oh, okay, I'm already into it. I got to finish it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It was like,
Absolutely.
I don't know what's happening right now, but I got to finish it.
Ah,
Um,
shit.
but I've
You're an
only done that
exorcist,
once.
kind of, a little bit, at least one time.
Oh, I hope not.
Well, that you exercise a demon right there. That's cool.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different
So that's
technique.
frightening.
It's a different technique to do it. But listen, I've exercised demons all the time, right?
Yeah.
Some bigger than others, some small, some powerful, some not powerful. Man, I've been at my job. This is years way back, and I just intuitively knew that I had this ability. But man, there's this one little white kid, man. He was cool, but I don't know what, he had some kind of hatred against me, just like the typical sometimes hatred that a white boy would have for a black man like myself. Um,
Yeah.
just kind of, I don't know. And then, to be honest, I did, and I probably do have a slight, just a little bit of like, I would just have to say like arrogance about me. You know what I'm trying to say, and I had it then too, and I can understand why he wouldn't like me. You know what I'm trying to say, just to some degree. It's not an arrogance where I would use it for evil, but it's like I had something about myself that he didn't like. You know what I'm trying to say? But now as I
Yeah.
look back on it, I realized what I was doing. I was being a certain way to draw out a demon from him. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like in the
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
yeah, exactly. Because like in the there's a scene in the Exorcist show where the exorciser is trying to kind of enrage. This is season 2. He's trying to enrage the demon within that one guy that had the wife that passed away. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
So that's kind of a tech that I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, but like I had like a little air about me that was kind of like trying to make that presence within him come out, right? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he began to just like, he had a pan in his hand where it was like we're working in like a kitchen, and all of a sudden he's just like fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and he starts like slamming like things really loud and just
What?
like, yeah. And then like,
Oh,
yeah, it's just like, he just kind of and like, it was completely out of character. And it was almost like everything just kind of paused where like no one else kind of really understood what was going on but me and that demon. You know what I'm trying to say? Inside of him, you know?
yeah.
And eventually I got it out of him, and it was calm. You know what I'm trying to say? But I didn't see it physically. I didn't
Wow.
see it physically,
Yeah.
but I felt that it was gone. You know what I'm trying to say? But I've done that before, and I should also tell you that I have also, to confirm what you're saying about a demon. I have one time seen a demon. I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but you haven't heard me speak about it. Basically, I was putting my hands over a friend at the time, and he was, I don't know, he was really trying to, at the time we were living in an apartment together. There's some really dark energy there, you know, and some dark Scorpio
Yeah.
type energy, and I had put my hands over him, you know, to help heal him, you know, and I went back to my room after that session, and I saw a little dark plume of, I guess you almost like a shadowy, smoky type little thing, and it just shot right out the window.
Yeah. Exactly.
It shot out the
That.
window like really fast, and to the point where if I didn't look, you know what I'm trying to say, I would not think that maybe I didn't see what I just saw. You know what I'm trying to say? But
Yeah.
that's what it did. It shot out through me to the window, and basically I must have took it off of him through myself, and it was gone. But that was the first time, and I guess the only time that I've ever actually seen I guess a demonic entity, or you know, or spirit, or attachment, or I guess you would call it a disembodied spirit, would look like, with my own eyes. Um, so
It sounds just like what I saw on that around that guy's. Like it wouldn't come farther up his body, it would just stay down near where his foot was. But
mhm,
that sounds exactly what looked like. It was just like a global. Yeah.
like a shadowy,
That's so neat.
like a glob of shadow, or
Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah. It's all you can, yeah, that's all you can really describe it as. And it happened for me. It happened so fast, like it like zoop, like zipped out so fast. I really didn't have a chance to look at it that well. But the point is that like I've had these experiences. You know what I'm trying to say? So like I just say that to make you feel more comfortable and less crazy, if you've ever felt that way. You know?
Yeah. I think it wasn't so much crazy. It was for me. It was more, why do I have this?
Hmm.
I think that was because there were times where I just didn't want it. I was working with a family where a female was murdered, and she just wanted me to get the message to her mom that there was nothing that her mom could have done to stop what happened. And I literally was like, I'm not doing this because these people are going to think I'm crazy. But this female would not leave me alone. Like, I don't listen to country music, and I would get in my car, and country music would be on. A specific song at that time was called "If I Die Young." That was the song. Every time I would get in the car, that song would be playing, and I would actually say to her, like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And this female would not leave me alone until I pulled her mom aside. I went to one of her fundraisers and I said, I don't know how you're going to receive this information, but I really need to tell you this. And I told her, and her mom thanked me, and she looked like she was relieved. But for me, that was a huge growing experience because I literally had to put myself out there when I've never done that before. But as soon as I told her mom, she left me alone.
All right,
Like it was like
I'm a little confused.
it was like you're gonna tell
When you
her.
say she left me alone, are you talking about a spirit that had passed on? As you're saying?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So you're saying that
She
spirit contacted you, what, during sleep, or how exactly?
well, here's the funny thing. So I work with trauma victims and abuse victims,
Yeah.
and she was missing. But I knew right when I saw her picture, she was already gone. She was already passed on. Um, so I reached out to her mom to say, look, we can help you with the search because they were still looking for her alive, but I knew they were going to find the body because I knew she had already gone. So when they found her body, she was strangled. Her husband strangled her. Um, she started coming to me where when I would be working with her mom, she would say stuff like, "I know you can hear me. Can you tell my mom this message for me?" And I was just trying to ignore and ignore. And then I even got in some groups to say, okay, if I don't want to do this, like if I don't want this, what do I do? And some lady was like, well, you can turn it off like a sign. So, like, visualize an off sign and they'll leave you alone. But that wasn't the case. She was very, the spirit of the female, she was very,
Adamant.
I know you hear me and I'm not going to leave you alone, like, until you tell my mom.
Let me ask you this. Let
So,
me ask you
I
this
would,
though. When you say she's
uh-huh,
talking to you, are you hearing it like a voice in your head, or is it like a strong
yes.
intuition, or it's an actual voice in your head? Then
Yes, I actually hear her. Yes, I
gotcha,
actually hear her.
gotcha. Not
I
not
can
not
actually feel
not with your ears, but inside your head.
inside my head. Yep.
Gotcha. That's what I figured. So
It's
that'd be
kind of also how I've communicated with other things. It's like you don't see their mouth moving.
yeah. I hear what you're
It's
saying.
just like mental.
I could be wrong, but is that not called clairaudience?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I have clairaudient, clairvoyant, all the clairs.
What is
But
clairvoyant? What is clairvoyant? What is that? Describe to our listeners.
seeing.
Okay, gotcha.
So I can see things. Um, in the clairaudient, I can hear things.
So see things what? Like
And then essence,
see people, like you mean see distant body, like see ghosts or spirits you're trying to
I can
say?
do remote viewing.
Okay.
I see, yeah, I can see spirits and souls. I can do remote viewing where somebody is giving me something, a picture. I can see what's going on. If somebody wants me to describe like a house, or they're about to move into a house, or something's going on, if they give me a picture, I can actually pick up stuff through that, um, or just I can actually see what's going on with an individual who is not in my space. So,
Gotcha. So how do you do that?
yeah,
Do
she
you do that
would not.
during sleeping, or do you do that actually? Like if I asked you
No,
to see,
I
hey,
can.
you do it during your waking state or what?
Yep, I can do it in my waking state.
Okay, boy, I have a lot of questions to ask. I'm curious to know how did you how did you learn how to do that? Because I mean that must have been an acquired skill that how did that happen, or did you always did it like just natural like?
It's Yeah, I must say it's weird because it wasn't like there was a learning.
Mhm.
Like with my oracle cards and stuff, there was an actual learning where I've been researching. But the clairvoyance and everything else, that just happened. I can talk to somebody and they could say, I'm looking at a house right now, thinking about buying, and I'll say, okay, does it have blue shutters? And there's a pond of water or some type of water behind the home, and they're like, yeah, that's the one. So it's like, but it's something that I've always been able to do.
Understood.
Not
Now,
saying I've always been comfortable with it.
yeah, I understand. I got two questions to ask you. Number one, like how does the picture look in your mind? Is it is it blurry or is it crystal clear? Like how does I'm just like give me
It's crystal clear.
okay.
It's crystal clear. Now, with all transparency, though, it's not crystal clear for everything. Like some people I can pick up really, really well on. And the best way I can describe it, hold on one second.
Hmm.
Sorry. The best way I can describe it is like a radio frequency. And when you got a really good radio station, you hear it crystal clear. But some stations you have to play around with the frequency so it doesn't come in really clear. And that's kind of how I am with people. There's some people I will connect to, and I get their images crystal clear. There's some people who I can't connect to for whatever reason. I've met people who there's like a block, or right when I'm talking to them, I know that there's something off. Um, or the lower vibrational individuals, I can hardly read at all. So I wouldn't say that I can do this for everybody. There definitely has to be a similarity in the frequency that I'm reading for, if that makes sense.
But what you're saying is those people have to allow you to be able to do what you're doing. You're trying to say that if they wanted to, if a lower entity or a lower vibrational being wanted to, they could block you out. Is what you're trying to say, or what?
Yes, I have been blocked out. Yes.
So what does it look like in your mind's eye when
Yeah.
you're trying to see something and all of a sudden it's blocked out?
I get nothing. It's like looking at a blank screen.
Gotcha.
and it's a feeling that's connected with it. So it's not like I just can't read for this person. I can't figure it out. If I'm being blocked, I will be able to tell. It won't be, we're just not, I just can't read for this person right now. Maybe I'll try a little later. It will be, you're purposely being blocked from that person. Like they know they're doing it, if that makes sense.
No, I understand.
It's a different
They have some
feeling
kind of
that
like
you get.
psychic defense type thing going on, or psychic barrier.
Yeah, yeah,
I understand.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so the girl who passed, when I finally did talk to her mom, she left me alone, and and it was a release. Like the whole time she was trying to get me to talk to her mom, it always felt like there was a presence around, like there's a heaviness around. But as soon as I told her mom what I had to tell her, it was almost instantaneous. She just wanted me to tell her
She was
mom
able
that.
to dip, huh, and hop on one of them
Yeah,
streams.
she was able to go. She was able to go.
That's
And
cool.
I even still told her mom about rainbows. And I'm not really big. I did not know that there's a certain type of sandal called rainbows. Um, and I told her mom that she said that she has the rainbows. And I said, I don't know what that means to you, but she wants me to tell you. And she was like, oh, she has my sandals. And I was like, sandals? And apparently there's like a tag on these type of sandals that's a rainbow. So I guess and that was confirmation to her mom that I wasn't like
Bullshitting.
wacko.
Yeah.
But yeah, right? Like, why are you telling me this
Yeah.
stuff?
Like,
Like,
get away from me, lady. You're creeping me out. Yeah. I hear you.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? And you always take that chance,
Yeah.
especially in my field where people, you know, I'm pretty high up in the echelon where I work.
Yeah.
Like, there's always that chance of people looking at you like, you're freaking crazy.
Yeah. I
And
understand.
I've had people tell me that, or they'll laugh at me and they're like, oh, she's just doing what she does.
Hmm.
But it's kind of, it is what it is. Like, I've never been one of the people who used it just to put it out there. It's always been because somebody's asking me to or somebody needs help.
Now,
Because there was a long time that I tried to not use it.
I understand, but let me ask you: do you have some type of like a website or a way people contact you in terms of a business, or people just intuitively know from word to
I ha-
from word of mouth to come to contact you, or how does this work?
I I put a website together,
Mhm.
but I have not gotten comfortable enough to really push it like some other people do.
Yeah,
People typically find me through people who know what I can do.
understood.
It's kind of like an underground type of thing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to learn to be more confident and more comfortable with it. I think if I lived in some place other than the Deep South, I might be a little bit more open with it, but it's really not looked at um, as open-minded as other places in the country. And because of what I do, I have to be really mindful of that impact with the people I work with.
understood. Yeah,
So it's kind of like I have it, and I feel I'm like if somebody needs me, I'm pretty sure they'll be guided to me some way or the other
understood. Well,
until I get to that point.
yeah, I hear you. Well, I mean, we'll talk more about that later. But I don't know. Like, I think part of what I'm doing is being called to help facilitate people like yourself. You know what I'm gonna say? Somewhere in the the back
Hmm.
of my heart, I feel that way. Like, um,
Well, I need help because I know what I do and I know it's good. Like
yeah,
even though
absolutely.
growing up I was told it's not, I know it's good. Like because I hear confirmation. I
Yeah,
hear you've done well. You know,
yeah.
so I know it's good.
I think
It's just kind of like, what do I do with it?
yeah, I think that we're all needed in some way. We all have different skills and different gifts to contribute. But I think what I'm being called to do is to help create. I mean, I have a site, you know what I'm saying, but I'm working on it more, and I have a podcast. But I think with these podcasts, I feel like I'm being called to help facilitate a certain amount of not legitimacy, but like just integrity. You know what I'm trying to say? Because there are some
Yeah,
demonic
yeah.
ass people out here. Listen, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I've already discussed this. I'm not under the illusion that that everybody that is into this is into this for the right reasons. You know what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for
Yeah.
me, I feel that I'm hopefully trying to create a brand, if you will, that people can trust, and a site that people can go to so they can like, be connected with other people that have been screened. You know what I'm trying to say? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that it's important because I mean, you'll feel a lot more comfortable going to a doctor that perform surgery on you that it has has passed a certain like screening process. You know what I'm trying to say? You know
Absolutely.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean, I feel that like even though we're healers in maybe a different sense, I think I think it's still
Hmm.
important to have some type of like I don't know, they've been certified or something like that, or they pass a certain test of purity of heart. You know what I'm trying to say? That makes any sense.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's
Exactly.
that's basically kind of what I'm looking to do in the future. So I mean, we'll talk more, but boy, I have so many things to ask you, man. Let me ask you this: how would you know to know to look somewhere in terms of like where somebody asked you, like meaning that is there a, I'm not sure if you know how to answer this, but like if somebody asked you, I can't find my pet, let's just say. You know what I'm say? I'm not sure if anybody would ever ask you that,
That's
but
funny. My cousin did that to me yesterday with a wallet.
yeah. How what how do you know where to look in terms of, that person could have lost their wallet in the car, they could have lost it in a supermarket, they could have lost it in the house. How do you know?
What I
Go ahead.
what I typically do is when the person is talking to me or asks the question, I'll close my eyes and then go internally, and then I'll just start throwing exactly what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, like for the wallet situation, I knew it was in a dark place. It was a tight place, meaning but it wasn't like somebody's using it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it fell in between some seat cushions, or it was someplace tight.
Mm-hmm.
She did that to me too when she lost her ring, and she found it under her sofa, but I knew it was dark. Um, with the remote viewing, I'm really picking it up through the person who I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm. Could you go back into the past of somebody, or does it have to be in the present? You know what I'm saying? Like if I asked you, like a dog that died or something, like, could
I've
you see?
never I've never had to do that. No one's ever asked me, so I don't know if I could,
Okay.
because that's something I've never. Most of the time, it's usually somebody's lost something. I get
Mm-hmm.
that a lot, or they want to connect with somebody or something, or they're looking at something, or they want me to describe the individual that they're going to meet, or things like that. But I've never asked. No one's ever
What about pets? Has
asked me to
anybody
go
ever asked
backwards.
you to talk about their pets that have passed, or no? This is not
No.
remote viewing, obviously. This is like spirit world type stuff. Yeah. Do you do that? I know some people do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
No. Yeah, there's some people who have. I've never had to, but as you're talking,
Yeah.
so now I feel uncomfortable. I
Oh,
don't
what's the
know,
matter? It's
but as you're
okay.
talking, okay. As you're talking, I am seeing like a gold retriever dogish looking thing. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a thing. It would be a dog, not a small dog. So it's going to be, but not like a big Rottweiler. It looks like, I guess, what people would call a gold retriever, but it's not. Well, no, because it has hair. The hair looks longer than like a lab. So I don't know. I don't know where that dog's coming from, but that dog is in my face at the moment. It's all one color, that golden color.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't.
I don't
It does.
know.
I mean, listen. It might be nice to have the experience, but it's not personally for me. I've never had a golden retriever, so I mean, I don't know. But I'm just let me ask you. Like, are there times you feel that that your gifts are not so strong, and sometimes you know that they will be, or all that, or what? Like, do you need time to like be in a certain space in order for it to work better, or no?
Typically when people are talking to me, or I've already met with them, I already know I'm comfortable and know who they are. So when I'm anxious, but typically when I see these things, I'm seeing them for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's tied to you,
Yeah.
but I typically don't see images for that are not connected somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
makes you feel any
And
better.
I don't
I've
know.
been thinking about a golden retriever recently. I don't know why. For me, I just think they're really friendly dogs. You know?
They are, and
Yeah.
this one seems to be very. Maybe you're gonna get one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've
Right.
never really gone.
No
I've
way,
never
man.
done
I don't
backwards.
have time for all
It's
that.
usually going forward.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've never
Oh,
had anybody ask
so
me
you
backwards.
so
It's
so
usually going
so
forward.
you're saying you can see things in the future then?
Yeah, it's usually going forward when I pick stuff up. Like
Okay.
I've been able to tell people who they're gonna meet,
Hey.
what the names, spellings,
Yo,
the
I could do some of that in my life. You know, a brother's been single for a minute. You know, you see any
Well, we
little.
need to find this golden retriever first, because
Oh
that energy
boy!
is really
Oh
strong.
god, this is depressing. I've been single for 10
Maybe the
years,
golden retriever
and oh my
is going to
goodness.
connect you to somebody.
Oh boy.
Maybe that's it.
All right, maybe I'll meet her in a dog park. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm seeing it for a reason. I'm joking. I'm joking, but I'm seeing this dog for a reason.
It's all good.
So I don't know. Make it. I tell people to make a note of it though,
Mm-hmm.
because usually if it's not that the frequent isn't strong. Like I'm vibing with you really well,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a reason why I'm seeing those images. So I would just make a mental note.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I don't. I'm done putting you on the spot, but I figured I'd try. You know what I'm trying to say? Why not? You
Make a
know?
note of it though. Make a
Yeah.
note.
Absolutely. Um. Is there anything that you want to ask me, or anything else that you want to share? I know we're hitting about an hour mark here.
I'm just excited to learn from other people, and like I know what I've been able to do and what I've done in the past, but stuff like the astroplaning,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm interested to hear stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested to hear from other people in a non-judgmental space, like
Mm-hmm.
where you can feel safe, and to
Absolutely.
find out why I have it. Like,
Yeah.
why do I have this?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big question of mine too. Like,
yeah. So
why me?
I had an interview with a sister recently. So when I do put that up, I'll let you know. But I mean, you're not the only one that has these experiences, and you're not the only one that's asked yourself why they have it. Now I do know the role of an empath, and I can only imagine that what you do and other people like yourself do is somehow tied to that. You know, basically, um, I'm just gonna give you what I feel is the overall arching story of the world we live in. Yeah, the universe we live in,
Okay.
and then from there the role of an empath and what we're here to do. Um, basically, and we all have different roles. I mean, you know, and as empaths we all have different gifts. But I will say this, like in general, like empaths are energy sponges, no?
Yes, yes.
And we're gonna say that generally speaking, that energy is negative energy. Would you not agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So in this universe, there are two things. If you really bring it down to the lowest common denominator, there's two things: truth and falsehood. Now, all false things pass away. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say to you?
Hmm.
So that means the only thing that is real is the things that are eternal. No,
Yes.
that means the only thing that is real is our souls, right? That's the only thing that in
Yes.
this world that'll live on after our bodies have passed. So basically, we came from this is talking about heaven. This kind of goes into the Christian theology. Basically, we came from a place of perfection where there was one flaw that wasn't really a flaw. It was just part of the perfection. It's called free will. It enables us to do whatever we want to do. I'm trying to say that's not a flaw. That's great.
Hmm.
But eventually someone wanted to be there to create a world where they can be God in it. That makes any sense? You know,
Yeah.
like it'd be like think of like if somebody were to create a AI computer system, right, and then hook up people's brains to it, right, and they're dreaming inside this computer system, and they think that their dream in this system is real, but really they're just hooked up to a bunch of machines. Does that make sense? Kind of like Inception or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, essentially, our souls, fell down into this world, and we became trapped here. But originally, we knew that we were trapped here. You know what I'm trying to say? Originally, it wasn't. It might have been kind of cool, like, oh boy, we can do all kinds of things. But eventually, as you know, I'm not sure if you've ever studied the Hermetic principles before.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, basically, there's seven universal laws. One of those laws is vibration. Everything vibrates, nothing rests. So, essentially, and there's another law called rhythm. So everything sways on a pendulum, right? So eventually, I'm saying that the vibration of the planet eventually got lower and lower, right? So our souls became housed in bodies. You know what I'm trying to say? And basically, before, when we were vibrating higher, we had what I guess you would call during the Atlantean times. You've heard of that? Like, we would have superpowers and things like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then as we fell, and there was different like the ancient Egyptians, they were like the later day Atlanteans, but even then, like, there were only a few gods that walked among them. You know what I'm trying to say? So eventually we became more and more human. You know what I'm trying to say? And became codependent upon the world. You know what I'm trying to say? In terms of having these we forgot. I'm trying to say that we forgot that our shells were not us, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in order for us to get back to where we came from, I'm trying to say, which will be a new heaven where there where there no longer will be free will, meaning there will no longer be a way for someone to, or for some beings to create a new universe. We have to we have to, as empaths, soak up all the pain and all the negativity of this world through ourselves and transmute it so it'll no longer serve a purpose in this world. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
when it no longer serves a purpose, then this universe will vibrate to a certain frequency where we will eventually no longer need these bodies. You know what I'm trying to say? And we'll return, our souls will return to its in a sense place of origin, but basically we're really just returning. We're really just returning to reality. You know what I'm trying to say? Which is basically almost like it's impossible to imagine, but it's more like pure chaos. It's not like, is it like, I'm not sure if I explained that very well, but like,
Yeah, I understand.
okay, gotcha. So basically, I'm saying is that our role here is to, like, I mean, I think for someone like yourself, I think your role, like my role, was to come and soak with a lot of pain. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I did a lot of work in the ancestral realm in terms of healing a lot of the pains that we went through during slavery. You know what I'm trying to say? So as I moved to North Carolina for a couple years, and during that time there, I told you I performed an exorcism on myself. Basically, I soaked up a lot of, like, almost like, I guess, you disembodied spirits that had been kind of on this plane for a long time. You know what I'm trying to say? Within myself, that were lost and didn't know where they were, and we're waiting to have their pain healed and their pain heard and all their trauma reconciled. You know what I'm trying to say? And so I took that within myself, and I basically went through a process where I kind of, like, I guess, just exercised those demons out through myself. And that basically, like, there are other people like myself that have gone through all types of trauma, but what we're doing is we're raising the vibration of this world again. So this evil that we're experiencing, or this fear, will no longer serve a purpose. So basically, like, we're just essentially, some people call ascension, like, we're helping us to get out of here again to a new heaven. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think people like yourself, like, your job is to be like, you're like the postal service between the worlds. You know what I'm trying to say? There is the let me ask you, when you went to this place, right? When you saw your grandmother, whatever, was there any pain in that world, or no?
No, it was beautiful.
There was no. I'm saying there's literally no pain, no suffering at all, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I'm saying that in this plane there is pain. You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
So we're having to shut down this plane. Exactly. But in order to shut it down, we have to take it on, experience it, right, and then transmute it through ourselves, right? And transmute it means just take it on and heal it, essentially. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you're helping people to heal. You said when you spoke to that one lady, um, who wanted you to speak to her daughter or whatever it was, you felt an instant
Yeah. Her mom.
you felt an instant clearing of the energy, right?
Mhm.
Right. So what I did was I came down here and cleared the energy a lot of spirits that were still clinging on to this world. You know what I'm trying to say, during slavery.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you did right there. You did the same. We did the same thing. We did it in a different way, right? But we're still doing it. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect sense.
Exactly. So that's our role. Now that's our role. Now
That's a huge responsibility.
it's a huge cosmic responsibility. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And now as we're doing this and trying to heal people and free their spirits, right? And their souls,
Mhm.
right? There are beings that want to keep this vibration of fear and going. You know what I'm trying to say? While we're trying to spread the vibration of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, they're trying to spread the opposite of that in this world, right? To keep the vibration of the universe low, right? So they can have a
Mhm.
breeding ground to survive and to suck the energy of new incoming souls into the world. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important for people like us that have a similar mission to meet and to form bonds in kind of a coalition, if you will. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We can help others that are being that are coming into this knowledge of themselves and create a safe space where they're not taken advantage of by those entities and their hosts. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty much it. I know we've probably spoken for about an hour here. So I mean, is there anything
That's a good thing, right? That
yeah,
means we're vibing.
it's a good thing. Yeah, but I'm just saying I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But I'm wondering, like, is there anything you want to close on or anything, or anything that you felt like you didn't get a chance to say or anything like that, or what?
I think for me, the biggest piece is anybody who has gone through, especially just growing up or being bullied or looked at differently because of it, don't let that stop you from your assignment.
Hmm.
Like you just said, that's a huge cosmic responsibility. And um, if you have it, at least for me, like I didn't have an ability to turn it off. I would ignore it as much as I could, but it didn't go away. And I think that's because it's not supposed to. So instead of fighting it, maybe embrace it
Correct.
and find individuals such as here
Yeah.
that can help you understand it.
Hmm.
I think once you understand it more, it's not so scary. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me,
It's not scary. It's fucking
is just to
awesome.
get help understanding
It's
it.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. You just have to embrace it. See, listen, my image of myself, right, is
Uh-huh.
like Professor X or Magneto or some shit. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think of myself as someone that, like, we all have different abilities, but I think of myself as, like, I'm like a principal or something like that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I make sure that
There you go. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So you got to start thinking of yourself as something. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, to ground yourself in what you're doing. You know what I'm trying to say? You have to have a bit of an alter ego. You know what I'm trying to say? Because when I get off here in this conversation with you, and when this podcast is over, right? I'm gonna go out and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go shopping at Walmart or something like that. And all this stuff we said,
Mm-hmm.
I might come back to it, listen to it, but it's going to fade in the memory of my now as I go out in the hustle and bustle of the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're gonna forget. So,
Hold on.
go ahead.
First of all, I don't know how you go to Walmart because I suck up all that stuff. I literally
Hmm.
have to go when it's not crowded or in the middle of the night.
I
But
go
when you
late.
get,
I go late. I go late. I'm saying, as empaths, as we go out in our day, right? I'm trying to say, and we will eventually forget. I'm not going to be talking to you. You'll be talking to me, right? And and even I do. I speak to a sister that's another empath almost on a weekly basis for the podcast. But the thing is that there are times when I'm not speaking to people that are extremely intense empaths. I'm trying to say that have certain abilities and certain gifts, right? I will
Mhm.
forget. I will kind of lose myself in the drudgery of humanity sometimes. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm saying that it's important to. I mean, that's why I created the Facebook group, but that's not intense enough. You know what I'm trying to say? Just text. It's important to listen to the podcast, but it's also important to speak to other people too. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Okay.
that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to do is to facilitate that for people, because we can't, if we stop doing what we're doing, you know what I'm trying to say, and let that kind of that kind of psychic muscles die, you know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
then we'll begin to lose ourselves, and you know what I'm trying to say, and forget our cosmic importance.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, I'm excited. So
Yeah.
I feel tons of learning coming my way, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. I mean, there's one book that I recommend to almost everybody. This is kind of like this is the way I understand the world. You know what I'm trying to say? Or one of them. You know what I'm trying to say? Let me ask you this question: if you could read, if there was like 2 or 3 books that you could own to like, and there was no other books you could ever read or own besides those books, what would they be?
Yeah, this sound like a dork. Okay, this is gonna sound so cliche. So I would have the Bible,
Yep.
the Quran, and something. I think too much. So I don't know. I don't know what my third book would be. What would you recommend my third book being?
I'm gonna say my books are right. If I can have
Okay.
3 books and only 3 books, and I can only read 3 books my entire life, I'll put that right. Meaning I know how to read.
Your entire life.
I know how to read.
Okay.
I know how to read, but I'm only allowed to read 3 books, right? Right?
Okay.
I would read number 1, the Kabbalion, right? Because that teaches me
Okay.
that teaches universal law, right?
Yeah, okay.
You have to understand, like, for example, in the movie The Matrix, right? Neo is taught by Morpheus. He's like the world. This matrix has rules. Some of them can be bent, some of them can be broken, right?
Yeah.
Those rules are those laws that I'm talking about. If you, by understanding them,
Oh.
yes, exactly. By understanding them, you learn how to go from becoming just an empath and an energy sponge to an energy alchemist. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So number 1, the Kabbalion. Number 2, the Bible, because that is going to teach me, again, the overall arching story of the world to a degree. You know what I'm trying to say? Obviously there's a lot of confusion with that book, but I mean, it still is the only book that is geared towards the prophecy of our people. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then number 3, I would probably have to get like a book that just kind of tells me more about our history, to kind of take the stories of the Bible, but actually make them put some historical basis to them. So I would probably get something like maybe like They Came Before Columbus or something like that, some kind of book like that, to kind of teach me about our history as Moors in this country or something like that, or something like that. Something factual. It doesn't necessarily have to be that book, but something, any book that would kind of teach me about who I was in terms of my forgotten history. You know what I'm trying to say? But
Gotcha. Yeah. Kabbalion. Okay, so I need to add. Okay, I'm going to go.
I've got a link to it right on our Facebook group. Just go to files.
Okay,
There's a
well there you
PDF
go.
there. Yeah,
Easy
absolutely.
peasy.
Yeah. All right, sis. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Boy, I really want to speak to you more though. So I mean, I'll definitely hit you up here, and maybe I can, put your skills to the test sometime some more. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
All right, sis. It's been a pleasure.
All right, you take care.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
If you or anyone you know would be interested in spiritual life coaching from a fellow empath, email afroempath@gmail.com or visit afroempath.com for more information.